Hey guys, my name is Trevor Sullivan. I'm a solutions architect with StratusGrid, and StratusGrid is a premier consulting partner with Amazon Web Services. Plus, we also have a software as a service product called Stratosphere. Stratosphere is a cost optimization tool that helps you to optimize your AWS costs across your entire private equity portfolio or across your enterprise company and all of the child entities as well, and see all that data at the very top level. So what we're going to be talking about in this really quick video is how to deploy an Amazon relational database service instance at the lowest cost tier, or at least the lowest cost that I'm personally familiar with. And this is really helpful for dev test environments, right? So what we're going to do is start by checking out the product page here. So in the Amazon Web Services homepage, if you go to products, go down to database, and then scroll down to Amazon RDS, that'll take you to the main landing page for the relational database service. And then if you scroll down a little bit, it's actually broken down by different database engines. And so we've got MySQL, we've got Postgres. If we actually go over to pricing and then scroll down, you can see that we have pricing by engine here. So we can do something like MySQL or PostgreSQL. Both of those are open source database engines, so there's no cost for licensing. All you're paying for is the actual RDS service itself. So you can choose either of those options, whatever direction you want to go. But if we take a look at Amazon RDS for MySQL, and then go to the pricing page for that specific service and scroll down here, you can see that the default is a multi-AZ standby instance here, where we have basically a replica instance in a different availability zone within the same region for high availability. And then we can also do multi-AZ with two readable standbys. But that's a significantly more expensive option. If you just need a single database server, well, one option would be to run a container, but again, we're focusing on RDS here. So what we want is just a single AZ deployment. So we don't have any backup instances, no replicas, anything like that, just a single AZ deployment. And then we want to go down to RDS for MySQL here, make sure that we choose that single AZ tab here, and you're going to see the different DB instance types here. So T4G Micro has two virtual CPUs and 1 GB of memory. You can get all those statistics from the EC2 instance data sheets out there on the EC2 service. But as you can see, we've got T4G. The G there indicates that it's a Graviton CPU. So this uses the AWS ARM-based Graviton CPUs. It doesn't really change a whole lot because it's still just the MySQL engine. It's just running on an ARM-based CPU instead of an Intel-based CPU or AMD-based CPU for that matter. The T3 instance type here does use the Intel 64-bit architecture, so that is an option as well, very close in costs to the T4G Micro. But I'm going to show you in the console how to actually spin up a dev test instance for the lowest cost possible. And so what we're going to do is head over to the Amazon Web Services console here. And if you navigate to the RDS service here, go down to databases and just click on create a database here. And then when you get into this wizard here, this is where things start to get a little bit confusing. Some of the options are not terribly clear as far as what you need to select. So what we're going to do for starters is just kind of go from top to bottom. We're going to choose MySQL here or Postgres because those are both open source, free licensing, MySQL community. Then we can specify an engine version that we have right here. Looks like the AWS console is being a little bit slow here. So once that loads, we'll go ahead and just choose an engine version. Typically, it'll select one by default, but you can sometimes select newer engine versions as well. So we'll go ahead and choose, let's say 8.0.36, which is the latest. And then under templates here, it's going to have the production enabled by default here, but we're going to change this to dev test instead because we don't need that multi-AZ high availability. We're going to choose the single DB instance option here because we don't want any replicas. And then under the instance type right down here, this is where we can select the instance type that we want to use for this purpose. Now, once it loads, you'll see that we have the option to do standard, memory optimized, or burstable classes. So we're going to choose burstable classes here because that's going to give us the lowest cost options. And then for the instance type here, this is where we can choose things like T3 Micro, and we also have the T4G, so we can just type that and then choose that series right there. Something else that you'll want to change by default is the allocated storage. By default, there's either 200 or sometimes 400 gigabytes of allocated storage here, and you can bump that down to a minimum of 20 gigabytes, and that's going to significantly change the amount that you're spending. So with all those changes made, if you scroll down to the bottom, you should see the cost is around $13.98. And then one other thing you can do is to disable enhanced monitoring. I don't know if that has an effect on the cost. It looks like it may not, or it may still be loading in the background, but you can certainly disable that enhanced monitoring as well. And I think that's just about it. So with that in mind, you're going to be spending about $14 a month on RDS. Of course, keep in mind that you are billed fractionally for this service. So if you don't provision an instance, then you're not billed anything for it. If you spin one up for a couple of hours, you only pay for the time that you're actually using that RDS instance and have it provisioned. So anyways, go through this wizard here, choose the right database engine, make sure you choose the correct template here, the dev test. There's also a free tier option here for certain specific configurations, but I generally don't like to rely on that. Choose single DB instance, and then go down and select burstable, and then finally the instance type. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.